The Toulmin Argument by Talia, Anna-Marie, Rafia, Arif, and Melissa. The Toulmin method is a style of argumentation that breaks arguments down into 6 component parts: claim, argument, warrant, qualifier, rebuttal, and backing. We'll start off with the claim. The claim is an assertion that the author would like to prove to the audience. There are 3 different types of claims. Claims of fact, which is an assertion that something is true or not true. For example, there is a God. Claims of value, which is an assertion that something is good or bad. For example, Indian food is the best food of all. Claim of policy, which is an assertion that something should change. The United States should stop capital punishment. It should be sophisticated, arguable, and direct, like the 3 qualities of a claim. Next is the grounds. The grounds of an argument is the evidence and facts that help support the claim. It is essentially the basis on which you make your claim, which is basically the evidence. For example, your grounds: you hear barking and howling in the distance, and you make the claim that there are dogs nearby. So you use the grounds to make the claim.
So the next part of Toulmin argument is the warrant. After you get your claim or your evidence, the warrant is the assumption that would link between the 2. So in a Toulmin model of argumentation, the warrant/assumptions is what connects the claim to your grounds. The assumption must be one that the audience also comes up with. If the assumption is not something general and the audience does not agree, the evidence will not persuade them, and the argument and the evidence will lose its value. So what this basically means is that after you get your claim, which is a statement your argument is based around, and after you get resources and evidence to supposedly support your claim, the warrant will verify if your evidence is weak or not. So when it says that it should be something general, after your use of evidence, the warrant should be the immediate and general idea that sparks throughout the audience. After you give out your evidence, you want the audience to agree to your claim. So that would be the warrant, the link between the 2. To further explain, I would give an example. So let's say I claim there are dogs nearby, and the evidence that I use is that I hear barking and howling in the distance. The warrant is that dogs are animals that bark and howl. That would be the warrant, because after I give out the evidence that I hear barking and howling, the immediate idea would be, it should be that dogs are animals that bark and howl. Therefore, my claim that there are dogs nearby is agreeable and it's correct. Another example would be, let's say I claim that there's a girl crying. The immediate assumption that would spring up would be something upsetting has happened to her. That would lead you to use evidence of an upsetting event that happened to the girl, because that would correlate your claim to your evidence. Another thing that should be noted is that warrant is not an explanation of your evidence. Warrant is more of a reasoning. When you use warrant, it'll be a reason that authorizes evidence to your claim, if that makes sense.
So the rebuttal or the reservation considers any counter-arguments against a claim. It serves as a way to strengthen the original argument by refuting other arguments, and so the author will mention another viewpoint and then refute it, making their claim stronger. It also serves as a way to strengthen the author's credibility because the author will mention other viewpoints which might be credible as well, and so it shows that the author is acknowledging that there are other viewpoints out there which might also be reliable instead of their own. And then the rebuttal also addresses the limits of the claim, and it normally starts off with unless or although. And an example of this in an argument would be a claim that says there are dogs nearby, and then the grounds or the evidence would be you hear barking and howling in the distance. Now the rebuttal here shows another viewpoint of why there might be howling and barking in the distance instead of the fact that there are dogs nearby. It says unless there are wolves or coyotes nearby. So this rebuttal addresses another reason why there might be barking by mentioning that there can be coyotes or wolves nearby, which are other breeds of animals that also bark. So it displays another viewpoint.
The backing serves as the supporting statement for the warrant, as it provides further assurance or evidence, background credentials, that refutes the assumption.
The qualifier is a phrase that implies that your claim may not always be true. Examples: Rather usually may be in most cases most likely slightly probably.
Now, when it comes to our infographic, it is basically just a summary of all the points previously mentioned. So we have the claim, the grounds, the warrants, the backing, the qualifier, and the rebuttal or reservation. And then for our graphic organizer, it just is a visual representation of the Toulmin argument, how all the components link back together. So the claim and the data and the warrant, the rebuttal, the backing, and the qualifier all link back to each other. Thank you.
So some examples from the text that display how Toulmin is used in an argument and how you build off with it would be page 118. It's a short sentence, both of them are, but it's still a short couple of sentences. And it's still builds off of the argument. So page 118 says, because the fast food industry continues to grow and is not going away, therefore, even those of us who support slow food should invest in it, since investing has the power to persuade business to change. So the claim in this would be the fast food industry continues to grow and is not going away, as it's just stating something that can be argued, and it's stating something that can be built off upon with evidence. The grounds would be those of us who support slow food should invest in it, and the warrant would be investing has the power to persuade business to change, since the warrant builds off the grounds and kind of gives more evidence as to what the claim is really stating and why you should agree with the claim. Same thing for page 119, which says, because Kinkle and Maisie's mental illnesses were known for several years before they committed murder, therefore mental health care could have saved lives, and psychological intervention would have prevented them from committing these heinous acts. In both of these examples, you can see to connect the grounds, the claim, and the warrant, they use transitional words. To connect the claim and the grounds, they say therefore, and then to connect the grounds and the warrant, they say since. So the claim in this would be, Kinkle and Maisie's mental illnesses were known for several years before they committed murder. The grounds would be, mental health care could have saved lives, and the warrant would be, psychological intervention would have prevented them from committing these heinous acts. And it kind of just shows how Toulmin can build an argument together, and it's kind of just building off each point and adding more evidence and explaining why you should agree with the claim in the beginning. And yeah, those are just some examples of the text that display how Toulmin is used.